Hi, it's Socially Distant Networking, and I'm Sadie, and this is Shane Morton. Shane,
Hey
introduce
everybody.
yourself.
Yes, it is Shane Morton here, live in the flesh. I'm a special effects artist. You can check out my work at silverscreameffectslab.com.
The link
Sadie
is
is
down
my
there.
work killer. What's that? Oh, I'm looking down there.
Yeah, there's a link right there.
Oh, right there. There it is. Um, yeah. Sadie helped start up the Silver Scream Spook Show with me here in Atlanta, and that's something we did for a long time. And people might know me better as Professor Morte, the ghost host with the most. But because of this global pandemic, we haven't been able to do a show in a while. We had to cancel the show last month, but we'll be back. We just talked to Chris from the Plaza. I guess we're pushing it to June in hopes that that's going to happen.
Right on.
So we'll see. We're keeping it going.
Man, it's been like more than 10 years at this point, yeah?
This is the 15th year.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. So,
Crazy. Yeah, we're old. We are
right?
we're old. But we look fantastic.
Absolutely. So, talk a little bit about the Silver Scream Spook Show and where that came from and its like kind of cultural heritage of the spook show tradition and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, growing up, we used to have these dollar matinees that our school was like involved with. And one year they had a magician come out and do a spook show. So when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I saw a real spook show. And ever since then, I'd always heard about these things. And we had a horror host that I grew up with who used to present TV shows and his monster makeup and stuff. So I grew up just like loving this stuff. And Alice Cooper and Kiss. I really wanted to be like a combination of Alice Cooper and Houdini. So the spook show is kind of the perfect sort of world for that. And what I wanted to do when we started the Silver Scream Spook Show, actually, we started on Coney Island in New York City. And we just wanted to kind of do what the Jim Rose Sideshow did for Sideshow. They kind of rock and rolled it and made it sort of punk rock. And that was kind of the approach that we had when we did the Silver Scream Spook Show. You know, be a little edgy, you know, the show it's all right to be punk rock and to go full drag queen whatever kind of thing we were into doing,
Yeah.
you know better than anybody what it's like. Huh. But yeah, and so there's been hiatuses then and there. I've gotten busy with other stuff and whatnot, but now that Chris Escobar got the plaza, we've been doing it again for like 2 3, it's been back for about 3 years.
Yeah.
So but for a couple years we had to stop because the plaza went through a weird transition.
It had a minute of something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was strange.
Yeah. So the history of the plaza, it's like it's the longest running theater in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, it had a weird history too in that it used to be like a burlesque house, and it we've got ads from the Atlanta Journal with Tura Satana, takes it all off at the Plaza Theater. So if you can imagine that, I mean, you can imagine it
Yes.
because we kind of did it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it got really seedy for a while, and it was even a porno theater. And I don't know if you remember when the go. Oh look, I told you this was gonna happen. Zombo's here.
Hi, Dumbo.
Hey everybody, Zombo. Zombo is he's gonna be interrupting all night.
All good.
Yeah, we did a ghost show there because the place is like historically haunted, and I personally really don't believe in that stuff, you know. Um not the real aspect. I love the fun magic aspect of it, but
Right.
I don't believe in spirits or the afterlife or anything like that. But I will admit it got really weird that night, and they found some on camera evidence, and I was there. I didn't tell anybody anything, but the first psychic that came in knew exactly where the person had been murdered. You know, the story we used to tell about, which apparently this very heinous murder happened outside of the upstairs office, and people
Right.
through the
Yeah.
years have heard it being reenacted, and to the point where they locked the door and called the police because they thought they were being robbed, and the police would get there and be like, there's nothing going on. And sure enough, that guy went right up there and he came running down. He was like, oh my God, something really bad happened up there, and I didn't tell him anything, so that was pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we as you know, we've lost lots of weird stuff in there.
Yeah.
Some natural, some supernatural.
Some just
Yeah,
downright wacky and amazing. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of that.
Yeah. What's your favorite spook show that you've ever done?
Um, I think I'm gonna say had to be that the second time we did Creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D, and it
Yeah.
was just like super crazy, and we had just done Halloween 2 with Rob Zombie, so the whole crew showed up, and Danny Roebuck was in town shooting Halloween 2, and he's a horror host out in LA. He's a friend of mine, Danny Roebuck, that he's an actor. You guys probably remember him from he was the killer in River's Edge, the weird
Yeah.
teenage kid that had killed his girlfriend. And he got to see it, and that was great to have Danny Roebuck out there. I don't know if you remember, but he came up on stage with us and he was freaking out and stuff.
Yeah,
But
totally.
yeah, that was probably one of my all-time favorites.
Awesome. Yeah,
It
that
was
was
great.
super fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of the plaza, since we've been speaking of the plaza, plaza alum
Yes.
Ben Reeder says hi on YouTube.
Hey Ben, we couldn't have done it without you.
So, along the line, you've started doing effects for like big productions, and people have seen your work on TV. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing working in the art department in film since 1988 when I did Return of Swamp Thing when I was just 18 years old. I worked on that show and built graveyards and worked with the costumes and stuff. And it was such a terrible experience that I didn't ever want to work in big films again. And I was acting and stuff at the time too, and had a little bit of fun with that. But the experience with Return of Swamp Thing was so terrible because when I got there, like the reason that I had a scholarship to SCAD was because I worshiped Bernie Wrightson and I wanted to be him. I wanted to be a pen and ink artist like Bernie Wrightson, and I worked really hard at doing that. And here I was on a movie that was supposedly going to be true to the form of Bernie Wrightson's work, and it was extremely exhilarating to be 18 years old and in the trailer with all that Bernie Wrightson art and all the costumes that came in from Stan Winston Studios at the time. It wasn't called that, but it and it turned out to be such a horrible experience. I was just so crushed that I was like, I don't think I want to do this with my life, you know? Everybody involved with the show seemed more interested in where they were getting cocaine that night than they were about making art. And they had all this great opportunity and all these great resources, and they weren't using any of it properly. And it broke my heart. And I really didn't start making movies again until, coming to Atlanta and messing around with all the guys that were running Cinefest, like Chuck Porterfield and Blake Myers, that whole crew.
Yeah.
And we started making movies in the weekends and messing around in my backyard and making zombie movies. And we just had so much fun with that I just kept making these silly little monster movies. And then it led to me just doing more and more and more. And then after I Rob Zombie had me do a bunch of work on Halloween 2, and I mean, you remember I ended up like taking over the show because he wasn't getting what he wanted, and we had such a in this town, I know like every horror person, so we were able to
Right.
bring like hundreds of people. And after that show, I was like, well, maybe I was wrong about some of these movies. Maybe I can start doing this again. And I really just focused on trying to make my art something that people would want to get. Like I wanted to kind of swerve the industry into thinking I was something maybe more important than I was because I would only take work that I wanted to do. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah.
Like this sounds cool and it sounds like something I could apply my sensibilities to. So so I was very picky about the stuff that I did, and I think it really worked for me. It led to me getting the job on Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell, which is my all-time favorite thing I've ever gotten to work on, which it is a show on Adult Swim. It's kind of like an office comedy, but it all takes place in hell, so everything. And I got to design a lot of the look of the show and everything. I was involved from the very beginning, so it was super exciting to see all this stuff. And people that know my style, they'll watch that show and go, "Holy shit, this is like Shane's brain thrown onto the screen,"
Yeah,
So
totally.
it feels good. And I've made a lot of good friends through that. And I got to give a lot of credit to Johnny Ray because Johnny Ray really probably had more to do with me starting to get serious about just working in film because we started doing all these high-end TV commercials for Adult Swim and shooting bumpers and stuff, and and doing big music videos for Mastodon and
Yeah.
whatnot. And yeah, if it wasn't for Johnny Ray and those early jobs, I probably wouldn't have been so like, wow, this is good. I can have fun doing this. I can work with friends. We can make good art. Like I even remember we were making a McDonald's commercial one day, and a couple of the guys were like bitching, going, "Ah, we are sucking the devil's dick today." And I remember like looking up on the thing and going, no, this is actually really funny. Like Mike Bruni is getting to act, and now Mike Bruni is a celebrated actor,
Yeah.
and I was like, Mike's is really funny in this thing, and I got to make all these like weird costumes, and we're all having fun, and we're all getting paid like a fuck lot of money to do this. So we are taking their money and getting to go to school with their money. Like we're learning our craft, we're bettering ourselves.
Yeah.
And so it is a McDonald's commercial, right? It is a McDonald's commercial, but it's a fucking funny McDonald's commercial. I'm still proud of it.
Yeah. I mean, all those custom commercials on Adult Swim are all just bonkers. I mean, like,
Yeah.
everything is. And,
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that companies seem to give creative license to the teams that work on them to come up with these really distinctive, expressive things that really speak to the audience on Adult Swim. It's like what they're looking for, and they know it's going to vibe with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I got real lucky with and my whole aesthetic really works with their wacky kind of because I love the whole idea of found art and stuff just made like out of nothing.
Yep.
So, and I think that sort of thing is really important in art because it gives it a real vitality. And I might be getting kind of artsy fartsy talking like this, but that's really where my aesthetic comes into play and gets to really build a nest at a place like Adult Swim or a movie like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 because he wants it to all look like an LSD fueled nightmare.
Yeah.
So if they want it to look whacked out and chaotic, um, I'm a pretty good supplier of whacked out and chaotic.
Yeah. Yeah, you are. So you ended up moving into this gigantic studio space, and it's like south of town, kind of in a weird location, but it seems like you've got all this room to make whatever you need to make.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing because how that whole thing came about is I've been in the haunted house industry for like 30 years. I've built haunted houses all over the country. I've built houses for, you Philip Morris, the at one time the recognized king of that stuff. I built two shows for him. I built shows for Six Flags and stuff all over the country. And I had an opportunity. Some friends of mine bought what used to be the Truck Stops of America flagship that had been shut down for years out by the Starlight Drive-In. And when they went and opened it up, they realized that pirates had come in and they stole all the copper wiring, and the pirates rendered this multi-million-dollar location useless.
Yeah.
So the Wolper brothers, who are both like Mensa geniuses, were like, okay, well, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start doing SWAT training and military training. We're gonna paint the building camouflage. We're gonna get a paintball. Get because there's a lot of insurance behind
Yeah.
doing paintball because it is dangerous. And then
Yeah.
they're like, and then we're gonna call Shane and we're gonna have him come out and do a haunted house out here in the hotel because there's a 200-room hotel. So when I went out there to check it out, immediately the light bulb went off, and I was like, "No, we're not doing a haunted hotel. Like, why would we do a haunted house in Atlanta, Georgia, the home of Netherworld, like the greatest, haunted house there is?"
Yeah.
I said, "Let's approach it differently, and we'll make what became the first meta haunted house." And it ended up changing the whole haunted house industry. It was like within 2 months of us announcing the project, Johnny and I had and Fred and I had been interviewed by every major big news source in the world. They sent NPR Russia over. I mean, it was this huge thing. It was life changing.
Yeah.
And after we stopped the project because, well, 5 years of it, I felt like we did everything we could do with it, but also we lost the ability to park thousands of cars a night because they do all this truck
Yeah.
parking out there now. But they allowed me to keep a big chunk of the space and just keep working out there because through the years of doing that, we brought so much safety renovations to the building and stuff.
Yeah.
So now I've got this like, I don't know, 20,000 square foot complex where we can, if we need to build a dragon for Game of Thrones for HBO, then we can do it. And a lot of the stuff in my contract, I'll keep a lot of my stuff. I'll keep the artistic um, rights to things. So we've set up like a huge museum out there that people can walk through and see the whole history of special effects and it's really, I wanted to open it up to the public as like an educational museum, but I don't think that it's feasible because I want people to have an experience that's really personalized. And a I think it's going to be really hard to make it safe for wheelchairs to get through, and it
Yeah.
would just be a nightmare to make it. And I don't know if I want to spend my life showing people through a museum. So,
Right.
but it's nice because it's set up like a museum. So we do a lot of prop rentals for the film industry, and they can come in, they can go, oh, we need all these, they can go into the Frankenstein lab and go, oh, we need all this medical equipment, or they can go to the cave and go, we need the rocks or whatever it
Yeah.
is. We do a lot of rentals, but
What's
there's a classroom we teach makeup and drawing and painting classes, and that's a lot of fun. We stay super busy out there. It's really something else. Like when people come out there, they're like, "This is only 7 years of work," and I'm
right?
like, "Yeah, it's pretty much." They can't believe it because it's Florida. There's life-size dolphins hanging from the ceiling of the puppet room that we built for this thing. It's like
Wow.
everywhere you look, it's mad. I work in a wonderland. It's great.
That's awesome. So what prop that you've made are you most proud of?
Um, I don't know. That's tough. I think. I would have to pick a prop from your pretty face is going. It's a tie. We built this three-headed Cerberus puppet for Pretty Face that
Yeah.
had like built-in cameras in it so the actors inside could see out. And it was pretty intense. And I was super proud of that because we were able to work with, Chris Brown was able to get all this big piece of national fiber, which if you're in the industry, you know what it's like, what they use to make the suits for where like Rick Baker uses it to make werewolves. Like people usually get it so they can make sideburns. It's so expensive.
Yeah.
And we had a decent budget and we had a piece of it so big that all these guys and girls were coming over from the Center for Puppetry Arts just so they could sew on this giant piece of national fiber that we had custom made. So it was fun because building that project, we only had 2 weeks to do it. And like people like Clay Croker, super Atlanta legend talent, they were coming in just to work for a couple of days to sculpt teeth and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was an exciting project. But I got to say, probably my favorite one, the opposite of that, was something I made in like a day, was the Cheddar Goblin for the movie Mandy. And that's probably the most famous thing that I've done. Like when people find out that I did that, they fucking go crazy. People love that thing. Like
Yeah.
they're always sending me pictures of it tattooed on them. It's like, and we had no idea at the time when I was making it that it was going to be this big important movie icon.
Right.
I made it in 5 hours. I made it in like a day. And I remember we were on the set of Pretty Face, and Chris Kelly directed that part of Mandy, who he's also the co-director of Pretty Face. And we were hiding it from the rest of the crew because I would get everybody in makeup and then I'd send, a couple assistants out to watch it on set, and then I'd sculpt, 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 sculpt. Everybody's like, "What are you doing over?" "Oh, nothing, nothing." And at one point, Kyle Yacklin was making the mold while I was doing touch-ups, and he's like, "Shane, why are we doing this? Like our workload is so big. Why are you doing this to us?" And I said, "Just wait. That thing's going to be the most famous thing we ever worked on this year." He's like, "What?" And we had forgotten about it, and the movie comes out and it's all over the news, and people are calling me from Sundance going, "Leonard Maltin's interviewing your Cheddar Goblin." And then the movie came out and I was like, wow, this is like one of the greatest movies I've seen in a long time. I'm super proud.
That's so
So
rad.
that was one of those, yeah, one of those fun things that you never know what's going to hit,
Yeah.
or you never know how good something's going to be. You could work really, really hard on something and it's in a movie and the movie doesn't end up being as good as you thought it was going to be. So it kind of diminishes your the returns kind of diminish a bit, but that's a super high point for me,
Yeah,
was that Cheddar
totally.
Goblin from me.
So, what are you doing now that like the world has stopped?
Well, I had to shut the shop down almost a month ago because when we decided to postpone the spook show and I started to see things getting weird, what had happened was I talked to some friends of mine in Japan and they started scaring me because they were like, "I hope this doesn't happen to you. Like things are getting really weird in Japan." And I was like, "Wait, what are you talking about? Japan's the nicest place I've ever been." They're like, "Yeah, but people are getting weird here. It's getting scary. This thing's for real." And so we stopped the show. And then about a week later, I told everybody, I was like, "Man, I just don't feel right being out here with all you guys. Like I know we're all working in different rooms, but we're crossing. It just didn't seem right. It
Yeah,
seemed like I
totally.
needed to like everybody's got to go home. We got to do our thing and just ride it out." So because we have a mold library with hundreds of molds, and sometimes we got to keep working. So some of these guys will call in to make sure nobody's in. I've gone out there and worked a couple of days. Like I was out there today because I came up with this idea to make Corona masks. Right. So here I'll show you.
Yeah,
I
totally.
brought some of the. So these are washable slip covers for safety masks. I'm calling them Gorona masks. You'll slip them over your safety mask. so you can look like a zombie. Look like a zombie. I did this one like a, Tiger King kind of. Put some facial piercings in it, and everybody can. Now this, of course, this is my favorite one.
Yes.
But yeah, and I'm doing stuff like, painting them caution yellow. And that's something I came up with. And I just announced it today. We're going to have like 10 to 12 different designs on the website by tonight and tomorrow. Because this is something I just came up with a couple days ago. And so I prototyped a bunch of stuff today. So I was out working today. But it's kind of weird. You're in this giant place that's a lot of fun. Like you're walking around a corner and there's the creature from the Black Lagoon's cave and you're all underwater. And then there's jail cells full of half human, half mutant gorilla people and stuff. And it's all this fun stuff that there's a lot of vitality in that studio because,
Yeah.
you come in and you never know who's going to be there working, but there's always like 3 to 5 to 10 of us there. Like Jim Stacy needs a place to do a thing. Well, come out, Jim. There's always some very interesting, eclectic people there and some of the best artists in Atlanta. So it's really hard for me to go out there and be all alone in that giant space, and it's like, because it's not just me, the whole building is shut down. So the
Right.
parking and all the offices and everybody else there, it's all just, it's like, last man on earth stuff. So I get the work, I get the molds that I need and pour out the stuff, and then I'll come home where I got my cats, and Madeline is here too. She helps me out.
Hello, I'm here.
Yeah.
Listening.
Hi, Dad. So,
But yeah, so I make monster masks and shrunken heads and stuff for sideshows, and I make custom paintings for people. So I'm just trying to stay busy at home working on stuff. I brought a bunch of shrunken heads to work on, but I have been finding it kind of hard to focus during all this, like I've
yeah.
gotten like I work for a couple hours and then it's like, I'm not feeling, it's really weird because I mean, me, I'm always like running and doing stuff, and there's 3 projects, 10 projects going on at once.
Yep.
And I'm a real mover, and I've been finding it tough to keep on it, so.
I think most people have because like the world is not fucking okay right now. And I
Yeah.
think like even if people can't like even people who work from home like kind of I do, like you still can't like there's so much shit going on and there's so much uncertainty about like what everyday life is going to be like on the other side of this that like it's okay
Yeah.
to work for a couple hours and then like fuck around for a minute. Like it's totally
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's tough. And I think that it's like, because really I've been like super proactive about being good about this, and we've been working out a lot. Like I haven't worked out this much in 10 years.
Yep.
So by the end of this I'm gonna be like pow pow. But like it's hard to keep the endorphins going and keep things happening, when subconsciously you're dealing with all this stuff like, oh
Yeah.
man, is the film industry going to die in Georgia because of this? Like, am I going to lose my shop? Like there's all this stuff needling the back of my mind. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty, and we just bought a house and we can't even move into it
Yep.
because the thing hit at the time that we were supposed to move out and sell this house. We had talked to the realtors, everything was ready to go. And now because the workers can't finish the kitchen, we're stuck with 2 houses that we can't quite live in.
Oh, that sucks.
So yeah, so that's the noise you're hearing, is the septic guys are back out here again. So if the listeners out there hear 10 tons of metal being dragged right past the computer, that's what it is. We're having housework done at both places whenever they can fit in it, because
Dude.
things are tough right now. People truthfully, these guys probably shouldn't be working right now. You know what I mean?
But
Because they're,
they probably can't get by if they don't though. So I mean
yeah.
that's like the
Well,
struggle that a lot of people are having too. Like yeah.
yeah, that's my struggle too because everything I do requires an audience, and an audience is money, and whether it's television, film, or theater, or whatever it is that I'm doing, and I'm doing all three. I work in all three of those worlds constantly,
Yeah.
and all that has come to a total halt. And there's really, I mean, as much as everybody wants to be like, "Yay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna get through it," it's not looking good for my industry being able to
Yeah.
bounce back from this, because I know, being a commercial artist for over 34 years now, it's like it's it's tough when people go through recessions and things because they're trying to eat. They're not worried about buying a fucking painting of an eyeball coming out of a zombie's mouth. You know,
Yep.
they need to feed. They need to feed their baby. They're not gonna be, wanting a monster mask. So,
Yep.
and they won't have the money to make the kind of movies that you want to have the budget to make. You know.
Yep.
On the other side of that, though, it might go back to all these guys that, all of the friends that we worked with over the years that are now too busy working on these big Marvel movies, making these movies that, I mean,
Yep.
there's not a lot of artistic expression going on. Maybe it's going to end up in me and Blake and Nick and Luke are going to make a movie in the backyard because that's all we're going to be able to do.
Yeah,
I mean,
everything turns DIY again.
Yeah, maybe something beautiful will come out of this.
Yep. Yeah.
It's going to be different, that's for sure. Like Madeline and I talk about it a lot, like what things are going to be different. It's like the theme park industry. I work in the theme park industry.
Yeah.
Like we just got to do Star Wars Disneyland in February, and we were just like, wow, I'm so glad we got to see that, because what happens if Disney can't like do this thing again, or with
Yeah.
social distancing? Like, how are you going to manage crowds? Like, the world is going to change, and I think nobody really knows what it's going to be yet. You
Yeah.
can plan and go, we've got all the best, and I just have to keep thinking all the best minds in the world are working on this problem right now, but the problem is so unknown that you can't even work around the problem. Like every day the data is different. Like, can you get it from animals? Oh shit, the Bronx Zoo tiger got it.
Yeah.
Like what is going on? Like they don't even know what it's going to do to pregnancies.
Yeah.
So yeah, things are we're in a weird time.
Yeah. Super weird time.
It's kind of exciting, too,
Yeah.
but it's not. We've joked for years about the apocalypse, like, this is going to be great. We're going to be shooting zombies, and we're going to shave mohawks into our heads and put monster makeup on and blow everything up and pillage.
And instead we're all just locked inside.
Yeah, that's not what's happening. We're just in our pajamas watching our bank accounts go, woo.
Yeah. Going through like the Netflix queue, like, I guess I'll watch this now.
Yeah. But those are all, but then even that makes me thankful, right?
Yeah.
Because friends of mine that are teachers have sent me these pictures of like the food banks that are set up in schools, and there's like a 2-hour wait for these people even to get in there to get their 5 cans of food or whatever, and their government cheese it's like, so if the worst problem I'm having is having to make monster mass out of my house and work on these 2 houses kind of and just try to keep my head on straight, I mean, I've still got food, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so
totally.
we're doing good, we still love each other, we're still getting along. She hasn't thrown me out yet.
Yes, we still love each other.
Yeah,
we're not just saying that because we're
yeah, we're still doing it.
Yeah.
You know, like that's another thing. That's another thing that's been good about this.
That's been like a worldwide trend, I think, of, you know, because like,
Yeah.
what else do you gotta do? Like,
Yeah.
don't have anywhere to be, might as well be right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
speaking my language, right? Listen to her.
I'm listening.
But yeah, so it could be worse.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't, like, if I didn't have her and I didn't have this world that I've created, that I can still somewhat manufacture my reality to the point of it being somewhat pleasurable and fun through all this, then, you know, then I must be doing all right.
Yeah. Yeah. If people aren't having fun, it's just like way too fucking stressful at this point. Like, you have to find ways to make it fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
we're lucky in that way that we both like to do stuff. We like to paint together. We like to do stuff. We like to, you know, we kind of do everything together. So it's great that now we have the chance to really do it, because with her job, with my job, sometimes we don't see each other for weeks, you know?
yep. Yep. This is definitely, I think a lot of people's relationships are either going to be proven to be like super solid, or people are going to like walk away at the end of all this. Like, I can't wait
Oh,
to get away
yeah.
from you.
Yeah. Well, the stress of these two houses thing, the
Yeah.
two house thing, and us having to cover this has definitely pulled us a couple times, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah. But, you know, having a
Stress.
minute is that's also like dealing with that shit makes for good relationships too. So, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna come out of this stronger. I know that.
Yeah.
Um,
Awesome.
I
um
mean, I hope we all do. You know,
yeah, I do
I
too.
I just got a lot of friends up in New York, and it's like terrifying talking to them. You
Yeah.
know,
The few
Johnny Collins,
people,
who played my brother in the Dear God No movies,
yeah.
he called me yesterday, and he said the guy he was working with yesterday died today. So like,
Dude.
this is, yeah, you
Wow.
know. So they're dealing with it on a level that we haven't had to mess with yet.
Yeah.
And the way Kemp has blown this whole thing, I hope that we don't have to deal with it the way New York is, you know. But I'm from St. Simon's, and all my friends on the island are freaking out right now because of that whole thing with the beaches open. So now people
Yeah.
are flocking to the Golden Islands because they think it's a spring break destination and that Georgia's okay for some reason. And that's going to wipe people out, you
Yeah.
know.
Like, we're lucky that we don't have the population density that New York does, but we also have like terrible management in the highest level of the state. So,
Yeah.
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 Yeehaw.
And just I think too, like I saw those pictures that they released of the Beltline the other day, and there's like
Everywhere.
restaurants and bars open. Everybody's, you know, they're acting like it's a summer vacation. You know, nobody's taking it seriously, and it sucks because it's going to be like a huge wake up call for these people when they, you know, they start having to deal with people dying and stuff,
Yep.
or like because I was telling Madeline, you know, I'm not going to be surprised at all when the National Guard is mobilized to keep everything safe. Because I mean, I'm not going to get too deep into this, but I work right. You know, the lab is out there where
Right,
the
yeah.
bases are, and I'm seeing a lot of military mobilization, right? And
Yep.
they're staying on my roads, so nobody sees them on the main roads. I think something's going to happen. And I've been through evacuation scenarios growing up on an island. I've been under martial law where there's like army dudes with guns on the street
Yep.
that say that they'll shoot you if you go out. And it's weird, man, you know? And I don't know if a lot of these pampered, you know, people in Atlanta that haven't ever had to suffer through some stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
I
And
just
that
don't know
like
what it's
sense
going
of
to do to their
entitlement
psyches.
of like, you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah, we're going to the dog park.
Yeah.
You know, you can't stop me. They're still serving, you know, pizzas and I don't know.
Yep.
It's what are you gonna do?
Well, I
So
think
we're just doing the best we can.
once people know, like, I think once people know someone,
Yeah.
it'll change. Cause yeah, Atlanta's a big city, and even though like our numbers are really big, it's gonna be a minute until it hits like everyone's
Yeah.
network like that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I hope. I mean, I hope it's not that it doesn't get that bad, and I hope that I hope that all the people that are like out there playing with their dogs and everything go, see, it wasn't that bad. Like, I hope that
that's the
that's the
best case
case.
scenario. Yeah,
Yeah. You know.
yeah,
Um. I just don't think it's going to be like that. I think in about over the next 2-3 weeks, it's going to get kind of ugly.
yeah. I hope not,
So
but
you got to
yeah,
make sure you've got a lot of things to distract you and stay busy in your house.
yeah. Also, why people need to go buy one of your mask covers.
Oh yeah, right. I'll have them on the website by tomorrow. Actually, you might want to be careful. I didn't think this out enough. You'll probably get shot wearing one of these because
Yeah.
all these weird Walking Dead fans that are survivalists are just waiting for the chance to shoot a bunch of zombies. So I don't know.
Yeah, so there's that.
Oh yeah.
Right on. Oh, I think I'm losing my camera situation. Hold on. Oh, okay. Am I here? Hold on, everybody.
Okay, now it's the black and white.
I'm not back on this one, though. Hold on again.
Yeah, this is the right camera view
Yeah,
of you.
everything is messed up on my side. Sorry, everybody who's still watching this. Um, camera, new camera.
That's a weird sound. Maybe we're being haunted.
Maybe we are being haunted. Okay, let's see. All right, so everyone can still see Shane, I think. Let's see. Can't see me though.
I
Okay.
can.
Okay. Well, you can. I'm just gonna make you bigger. How about that? Till I can make this work.
So now I get to expand.
You're expanded a little. Yep. So, Okay. Sorry for that total technical difficulty, everybody. Um, so moving on. Now that the whole world is absolutely crazy, what are you doing to like keep yourself sane every day that isn't creating and making in the shop?
Um, I think like really like working out more, has been like a good thing. Like if I'm like walking to another room to get something, I'll just be like, oh, I thought about doing push-ups. So I'll just drop and do another 25 push-ups. I'm just being really proactive about trying to keep those endorphins going, and that's helped me out a lot. One thing that's happened is my sleep cycle's gotten really weird. And
Yeah?
usually I would have no problem. Yeah, I would have no problem going to sleep at 3 and waking up at 10, but like now I'm going to sleep around what 10:30, 11, waking up at 2:30 and can't get back to sleep, and then I take a nap in the day. Madeline thinks I'm turning into a cat. I don't it's I've been spending more time on the couch,
Yep.
you know. Um but yeah, like I said, it's just staying busy with moving both of these houses. Like I've spent days and days just moving my Godzilla collection over there, and stuff like that is keeping me busy.
Yeah.
Brushing up, it's been great too because I've found all this stuff, because we had to move the attic over. So I found all this artwork from when I was like in elementary school and stuff, So I keep finding all this weird, crazy, fun stuff. So that's been fun. I feel like for a while there I was on a treasure hunt every day, and
Yeah.
that's been cool.
So, um, what part of town is your new house in?
Same. We're like 2 miles down the street. We live in unincorporated DeKalb.
Yep.
So we got all the pluses of living like in Avondale or downtown Decatur because we're like only a mile away, but we don't pay those crazy taxes.
Yep.
So we can easily go bicycle right down to your area,
Yeah.
uh, like yesterday we did about 2 hours on the bikes and went all around. And even then I was like, because it was Sunday, I guess, I didn't even think about that. I mean, I think every day is kind of the same, but there were people out on bikes. And I'm so weird. If I see them coming, I'm on the other side of the street and stuff. We're
Yep.
trying to be
Distant.
super just, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool. And I've always loved bicycling through Decatur Cemetery. So
Yeah.
that's a good workout going on all around. So we've just been doing a lot more of that.
Yesterday was a totally gorgeous day for that too. It was so
It
pretty.
was.
Yeah.
Was. But it made me
Um,
feel a little bad because I felt like, oh, if the right picture had been taken, it wouldn't have looked like those Beltline pictures. But I was looking at it and seeing, man, some of these people are just a little too much going on.
yep.
Yeah, it made me feel kind of bad. So we had to get way off the beaten path again.
But that's fun. It's like exploring. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Especially with our new neighborhood, which is we're just off of McClendon.
Oh, yeah.
Um, the next street over, but we're in a little deeper, and that neighborhood is totally great because it's all like cool '60s stuff. So it's fun seeing all that.
Yeah.
Just being in a new neighborhood, and it's a step up.
Right on.
Yeah, it's cool. We've
So,
got a finished basement that we're building a tiki bar in. Almost as big as the whole house is that we live in now. So it's
whoa.
pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I just got to keep telling myself, man, it's gonna be fun when we get this done.
Yep. A lot of work, but worth it.
Kind of teasing Madeline, but she's not paying attention.
So, what did you think that you were going to be when you grew up?
Well, I figured I was gonna be, like I said, a commercial artist. I
Yeah.
figured I'd be my goal was to be like the next Bernie Wrightson and be doing these pen and ink artworks for children's books and illustrating Stephen King's latest thing or whatever. I literally wanted to be Bernie Wrightson. And then that kind of stopped for a while because I got the rock and roll thing kind of took over for a while, and I was playing music for a long time and doing a lot of touring and stuff. And that
Yeah.
kind of got in the way for a while. So, and then I settled down, did this and doing the spook show, and I'm working on monster movies. I'm doing what I always should have been doing all along. Like, if I wouldn't have gone through my crazy rock and roll, drug fueled, crazy phase that went on for far too long than it should have, then I don't think that the art that I'm doing now would be what it is. You know, I kind of needed to go through that to become what I am now.
Yeah.
So I've done basically everything I've always wanted to do.
That's awesome. Not many people can
I
say
just
that.
want I just yeah, I just want to do more of it, you know?
Yeah,
Like
totally.
we thought we were going to be making a vampire movie in Transylvania with like a lot of the cast and crew from Pretty Face,
Yeah.
and like it's it might not happen now because of what's going on with this, but like it's gonna happen, you know? Like I'm gonna make a fucking vampire movie in Transylvania. How cool is that? You
Yeah,
know, like
totally.
I still have a lot of things I want to do, but I've pretty much, you know, done just about everything I wanted to. I've gotten to tattoo Yakuza in Japan. Like that was another thing. Like my art, it's always been art, but it's been, you know, for 13 years, I was a tattoo artist that was known for doing like really different types of tattoo, like that type of tattooing that long ago, 25
Yeah.
years ago, was not really well known. So I was like a rock star, you know. I traveled all over the world. I was the first American to tattoo behind the Iron Curtain and Warsaw, all this crazy stuff. So I got to do that too, which was kind of like being a rock star, but for being an artist, you
Yeah.
know. Um, so it was fun, and I still tattoo. I tattoo my friends, you know, just to stay in shape.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't, you know, when I retired from that, I guess semi-retired from that, I didn't. The idea of me being in a tattoo shop at a desk job, because it's pretty much a desk job, kind of freaks
Yeah, it
me out.
is. Yeah, and having
But
to
yeah,
like keep those kinds of appointments and like sit with people for hours and yeah, and
yeah,
it's like in the hustle and all that. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I did it straight for 13 years. I got it. I did it all, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty good about that. Um, so yeah, my thing is I just want to do more. You know, I want to get better at what I'm doing now. I'm learning all kinds of new stuff all the time in this industry because the the techniques change so much. You know, like I'm having to do digital art. Like I hate computers and stuff. I'm really bad with it, but I'm having to paint digitally, and you know, I'm working with like a lot more with like silicone and stuff like that, which is kind of the newer thing for
Yeah.
me. So, well, it's there's so much to learn with special effects art because it's like I really feel like it is like the pinnacle of now that I've settled down and I don't need to be out all night going crazy and doing stuff. I can just focus on all these different things because you get to be like a mad scientist and an artist and a performer all at the same time when you're doing special effects. So it kind of feeds all those needs that I have.
Yeah. Totally. I can see all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um what was what was the first live band you ever saw?
First live band was the 1979 Kiss.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like just a little kid too. I was like 10 years old,
Who took you?
and it was like life changing. My parents,
Dude,
and it
awesome.
was like, yeah, that we were. My family's from New York, and like my first life changing experience was seeing King Kong in a big old movie theater in New York. And my second big life changing experience was seeing Kiss in Atlanta at the Omni. And my uncle, who I grew up in this like pretty wild household where we had multiracial, I had openly gay aunts and uncles, and it was never an issue. So my favorite uncle, who was, I guess, what they would call a bear. He was like a super manly, masculine gay guy, that was real into nature and stuff. But
Yeah.
we got to stay with Corbin in his super badass midtown apartment. My favorite gay uncle, and go see Kiss, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it sounds
You
pretty
know,
rad. That sounds rad
it
for
was
a 10
rad.
year old, especially.
It was the first time I ever saw prostitutes. It was like so weird. We were driving, and it must have been on Ponce or something downtown, and I was like, "What are all these women doing out here at night?" And my father was like, "Oh, those are ladies of the night.
Yep.
Don't worry about that." And I was like, "Ladies of the night? Fucking vampires on the streets of Atlanta. I love this place."
Right?
um, but yeah, it was. We actually got that was a fun weekend because my underground Atlanta was open back then, and it was this great place to get stabbed by a switchblade, like because it was really sleazy, and my father was like, I mean, you've met my dad. He's got the long hair and the beard and stuff, and he's like, we're going to go to underground Atlanta. It looks like a fucking Leonard Skinner album down there. And
Yeah.
and my mother was like, Larry, we are not going. And he's like, yes, we are. And we went down there, and I remember I I thought it was like Escape from New York or something. It was so weird, and my mother was so angry. But yeah, I got that was one of those crazy weekends. Yeah, but Kiss was the first one.
Right on. Do you remember the first record you bought?
Yeah, Alice Cooper Killers, and
Yeah.
I've still got Killer. I've got the original because that album opened up as a poster of him hanging, and I've had
Yeah.
that. I tell people I've had that hanging in my room since I was 4 years old, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" Well, a friend of mine, he was a driver for all these rock stars, and he was driving Alice Cooper one year, and he was like, "Oh, I have this guy that would just freak out." He's like, he asked to borrow that thing. He was like, "I'm gonna do something cool for you," and him and Alice put this thing together for me where Alice, because it's a red picture, and
Yeah.
Alice signed this thing in red and found him some like candid shots that were taken during a photo shoot of him in the news drinking beer and stuff, and they framed it and all this stuff. And yeah, so uh, my first musical love was Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
He's still my favorite rock star. Alice Cooper, Freddie Mercury. Like I was not into Kiss actually when I was a super little kid because I thought they were Alice Cooper ripoffs.
I can see.
And my
Yeah, I
dad,
can see that.
yeah, and my dad came home with Kiss Alive. So this is probably when I was 8 years old, and he was like, You're gonna have to get over this anti-Kiss thing. You got to listen to this record." And from then on, I was a Kiss fan too. You can have them
Awesome.
both. You can have them both, right?
Yes, totally have them both. So, when this is all over and the world is back to whatever it ends up to be, what's the first thing that you want to do?
I want to go get Mexican food.
Dude, yes!
Even though, like, Madeline will tell you, like, my hard shell tacos are,
They're the best.
they are
Yep.
supreme. And we've been doing it,
Shane makes
like,
it up in his own restaurant.
yeah. But I miss, like, skinny margarita and Mexican food. And, you
Yeah.
know,
I'm,
that's probably the first thing.
Yeah, and a place that can make actual real cheese dip, not like the crap
Yeah.
that I try to make at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yes,
Yeah,
Mexican
that's
food.
probably the first thing, 'cause we're real big on that. You know, something that I can't make sushi at home.
Yeah.
And I did a Japanese.
We've
We
done
cook a
really
lot.
good,
Yeah, we cook.
cooks over the.
Yeah,
We've always been good, but
yeah.
it's exceptional.
And I did a Japanese dish last night, but the seaweed salad that I had made her ill. So,
Oh,
you know, you can't. You know, win some, you lose some.
yep.
So yeah, I'm gonna get some Mexican food and I'm gonna get some Japanese food.
Yeah, hell yeah. Awesome.
And I want to, you know, I want to get up to New York and see all my friends that have made it to the other side of this thing. I do a lot of work in New York. Like the biggest movie I did last year, which is the biggest show of my career that ended the year, was this thing, Masters of Doom. And we got to shoot it in New York, and I got to, huh? Well, we shot it on New Jersey, but it was a New York crew. You know? A lot of my guys. But like, I just, you know, I have a lot of family and friends up there, and I do a lot of a lot of work up there. And actually, one of my guys was like, "Hey, we got to shoot this thing for He called me like a month, like 3 weeks ago. We got to shoot this thing for PBS. Like, let's get a crew together." And I was like, "I don't think we're gonna do this." And he called me back. He's like, "Yeah, you're right. We're gonna have to wait till this." So they were still pushing us to build these flying saucers and stuff and go up to New York. I was like, man, I can't go to New York right now.
No.
You know? Like, but as soon as this stuff is over, the first project that I have is Pretty Face comes back up. So we get to do the next, Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell.
Yeah.
And then I'll be in New York to finish up this thing for PBS. And hopefully the Masters of Doom thing gets picked up and we get to work in New York a whole lot, because that's I love that place.
Yeah. That all
I'm
sounds
worried
awesome.
about New York.
Yeah, definitely worried. So, last question.
Okay.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Huh. The best advice. I think it was from my mother. And it was when I was going through my second divorce. She was like, if you can't forgive her, if you're ever going to be able to if you're ever going to have to bring this up, if you can't forgive her and let it go, then it's done. Right? It'll be up to you. Either you're strong enough to do it or you're not, or it's going to be something that's going to be insurmountable. But if you can't, like, let it go, then the thing is done. And that advice is applied to a lot of situations in my life.
Yeah.
Like, over the past 20 years, I've thought about this a lot. Like her going, look, if you're ever going to bring this up again, then it's done. You know? So that's probably out of all the great advice my fucking awesome mom gave me, like, that was probably the one.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. You stick around for a second. We're gonna say goodbye to people and thanks for the patience with the fucking weird technical difficulties. And go visit Shane's website, which is down there. And see everybody next time.
Well,